What's up, everybody? Welcome to this breaking news edition, if you will, of Fucking Goal Breakdown. If you're clicking on this on YouTube or if you're watching this on Twitter, Alan Saunders of Steelers now reporting that Cam Heyward and the Steelers are in talks for a possible contract extension. Let me pull up the article here again. Alan Saunders of Steelers now. Everybody over there does awesome work. Speaking at an event today, Cam Heyward said, and I quote, "We've talked about an extension. We'll see what happens. My goal is to play 2 or 3 more years, mostly 3. I'm looking forward to an opportunity. We'll see what happens. I'd like it to be here, but my goal is to play, so we'll see." And again, from Alan Saunders of Steelers now, Cam Heyward and the Steelers reportedly talking about a contract extension, which surprised me when I first saw it. I think that a lot of people could speculate that this could possibly be Cam Heyward's final year altogether. But he hopes to play at least 3 more years. A little nugget in there that stuck out to me was, "I'd like it to be here," meaning that sounds like he would be open to playing elsewhere. But again, 2 or 3 more years Cam Heyward wants to play. He said mostly 3. So he just turned 35. That means that he's going to be playing until he's 38 is his hope. When it comes to Cam Heyward, he's reliable. We know that. 6-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro selection. Missed 6 games last year, but from I think 2017 till 2022, he played in at least 15 games. So he's a guy who's constantly reliable. Last year's very much an anomaly in terms of him missing some time. Doesn't happen a lot. But Cam Heyward wanting to play 3 more years, and he and the Pittsburgh Steelers in talks of a contract extension. And we'll see if that comes to fruition. Now, this also does help Pittsburgh because if an extension is done, then they can save some money on the cap this year, where they can kick some of that down the road when it comes to Cam Heyward's deal. And we'll see what comes of that in the future. But, right now, I mean, he's made it very clear he wants to play. He wants to play for 2 to 3 more years. Wants it to be in Pittsburgh. But again, the way that he was quoted of saying that makes it sound as if he's willing to play elsewhere. But Steelers and Cam Heyward reportedly in contract extension talks. Again, Alan Saunders of Steelers now reporting that today. Right now, this is 2024 will be the final year of Cam Heyward's current contract. It was a 4-year, $65 million contract, making $16 million this season. So again, if they can get an extension done, maybe they can kick a little bit of that down the road. But again, Cam Heyward quoted as saying, "We've talked about an extension. We'll see what happens. My goal is to play 2 to 3 more years, mostly 3. I'm looking for an opportunity. We'll see what happens. I'd like it to be here, but my goal is to play, so we'll see." And again, that little nugget there is saying, I'm looking for an opportunity. I'd like it to be here, but we'll see what happens. Sounds as if the Steelers don't give him an extension, he's more than okay playing elsewhere to finish off his career. And maybe that would be with a contender. There was some talks, even in 2022, where they started off, 2-6. And there was some talks of, hey, maybe they'll trade Cam Heyward to a contending team so he can contribute, in the final years of his career and try to get a Super Bowl. Obviously, that didn't happen. And now, I think that that's something to keep an eye on, definitely. If the Steelers don't extend him, would he just go elsewhere? Maybe sign with Kansas City, maybe sign with, I don't know, another contending team, maybe a Philadelphia, maybe a San Francisco, somebody, maybe a Buffalo, somebody or somewhere he can go and try to close out his career as a Super Bowl champion. would be pretty neat to keep an eye on. Trying to free up money for wide receivers, spread that 20. Yeah, I think that's a lot of what an extension would do, is they would spread that money out and have more cap space this year. We'll see if it ends up being a big name receiver again. I was hoping that it would be, Brandon Ayuk, or a, DK Metcalf, Cortland Sutton. I still think Sutton has the highest possibility. I think that the Ayuk thing, I would be surprised if it happened now. I think that ship's kind of sailed, but stranger things have certainly happened. But freeing up more cap space certainly gives them a lot of options in terms of the people that they can add to the roster, whether that be, a nickel cornerback. There's been talks about bringing in Cam Sutton. So if they wanted to do that as well as bring in another receiver, that would definitely give them more money to happen. But if you're just joining, the Steelers and Cam Heyward are reportedly in talks for a contract extension. This coming from Alan Saunders of Steelers Now. Cam Heyward is quoted to have saying today at a community event, "We've talked about an extension. We'll see what happens. My goal is to play 2 to 3 more years, mostly 3. I'm looking for an opportunity. We'll see what happens. I'd like it to be here, but my goal is to play. So we'll see." So again, he wants to play. That little nugget at the end tells me, at least, that if he doesn't end up re-signing with the Steelers, he's more than willing to play elsewhere, more than likely with a contending team, to try to end his career as a Super Bowl champion. So we'll see. And again, if they do get an extension done, that'll help with the cap space situation this year, because they can kick some of that to next year and the following year with an extension. So we shall see in terms of Cam Heyward getting a contract extension. And again, we know what Cam Heyward is. Probably going to be in the Hall of Fame one day. 3-time All-Pro, 6-time Pro Bowler. Constantly reliable. Missed 6 games last year with the groin, but from 2017 to 22, he played in at least 15 games every year. And in 2021 and 22, he played in every game. So even as he ages, he's still been reliable. And I would fully expect him to still be, a difference maker on the defensive side of the ball. Not what he was, back in 2016, 2017, but still as reliable of a defensive lineman as they currently have. We've seen Keanu Benton had a really nice rookie year, and they'll expect big things from him. They just drafted Logan Lee in the 6th round. So, you got young guys like that Cam Heyward can help mentor and bring along, And he's the oldest guy on the team. He's an unquestioned leader. There's so many things that Cam Heyward does besides on the field that, is valuable to the team. Just won Walter Payton Man of the Year. This is an important guy for their locker room, especially with the young team that they currently have. To have him around. And if they give him an extension, great. Again, that helps with the cap situation this year, where they can free up more money and bring in more names, should that be their goal. Because again, they're gonna more than likely bring in at least one other person in the cornerback room, whether that be Cam Sutton, Stephon Gilmore, both of them, as well as acquire a receiver. So they're going to need some money to spend, as well as finish wrapping up signing their draft class this year. Roman Wilson has been signed. That just happened today. Not sure of the status of any of the other names. I think Mason McCormick signed his rookie deal. So they're freeing up some money to get stuff done. If they do this extension, that would free up more cap money. And then, should they bring back a Cam Sutton? Should they bring in a Stephon Gilmore? When they trade for a receiver, depending on who it is and how big that cap hit is. It's good to just have the free money just in case. And they realize that. And so I expect it to get done. That would be my guess. Is I don't think the Steelers want Cam Heyward to play anywhere else. And I think in his heart of hearts, Cam Heyward doesn't necessarily want to leave. But at the same time, if you're Cam Heyward and looking at your options, if you can go next year to a Kansas City, if you can go to a Buffalo, if you feel like you have a better shot at winning a Super Bowl there, that's one thing that's evaded him throughout his career is doesn't have that Super Bowl ring, doesn't have a Super Bowl appearance. So, the Steelers have gotten close, but it's been a long time since they've been close. So, something to monitor, something to think about when it comes to Cam Heyward. And again, it would be good for this year because Cam Heyward can still play, can help bring along this new crop of Steelers receivers, or Steelers defensive linemen with Keanu Benton and Logan Lee. And if and when they do draft a defensive lineman early next year, that's a good guy to have in the building, and also can age gracefully into being more of a role player that isn't leaned on so much because, you have, Keanu Benton, somebody else that they draft. Hopefully, you can get something out of Logan Lee and these other guys. So a chance to age gracefully, bring in the new blood on the defensive line. And also just, being the veteran leader of the locker room. He's the oldest guy on the team, just turned 35. So, Cam Heyward does a lot for the organization, does a lot for the Steelers. And as we speak, the Steelers signed 6th-round pick Ryan Watts to his rookie deal. So another deal getting done. Always love to see it. But yeah. And again, if you're just joining, Steelers and Cam Heyward in contract extension talks. This coming from Alan Saunders of Steelers Now. I'll pull up exactly what Cam Heyward said. But at a community event today, he told Steelers Now, "We've talked about an extension. We'll see what happens. My goal is to play 2 to 3 more years, mostly 3. I'm looking for an opportunity. We'll see what happens. I'd like it to be here, but my goal is to play. So we'll see." So again, it sounds like he's open to playing elsewhere, but he would like to stay in Pittsburgh. And we'll see if the extension gets done. I wouldn't be surprised if it does. I wouldn't be too surprised if it doesn't, though, either, because, Cam Heyward is aging. He just turned 35. Do you really want to? The only benefit for this for Pittsburgh would be they can kick some cap space or free up some cap space and kick some money onto his extension. So it's not as if Cam Heyward's a bad player, but he's 35, and for a guy like that who says, "I want to play 3 more years," if you can keep up the production, that's awesome. But if they're paying him a lot of money at age 37 and he's not producing, then you're going to have to really start asking questions about, okay, well, did this extension a couple years ago to free up cap space, but now it's coming back to hurt us a little bit. That would be a situation where they would probably have to cut bait, free up some cap space by either trading him or moving. I'm intrigued to see how they would do the extension, how they would how they would divvy up the money in terms of guarantees and in terms of annual average value and in terms of incentives, things of that nature. But something to monitor. And again, there's a lot of good that would come out of it from the locker room too, just because he's been there the longest. He's the oldest guy on the team. He's a leader. So just won Man of the Year. So the guy brings so much more value to just what he does on the field, and he can still play. Doesn't miss a lot of time. Last year was very much an anomaly. In 2021 and 22, he played in all 17 games, played in at least 15 games from 2017 to 22. So there's probably going to be a gold jacket waiting for him when his career's done. He's had a fantastic career. He's been one of the best defensive linemen of his generation. Outside of, Aaron Donald, J.J. Watt, Cam Heyward's certainly in that top 5 of defensive linemen over the past decade. He's been terrific. So we'll see if the extension does get done. That'll be something to monitor over the next few weeks, especially because if it doesn't get done before the regular season, it's not going to get done. Steelers aren't going to negotiate contracts in season. It's just something that they don't do. But certainly something to monitor is Pittsburgh potentially extending the 35-year-old defensive tackle. And we'll see how much the extension would be, whether it be for 2 years or 3 years. I think a 3-year extension would probably make more sense because you can spread that money out as far as possible. And then if you do have to cut ties, it won't be as big of, a dead cap that you'd be eating. However, the contract would be divvied up. So if it is an extension that does get done, I'd say, 3 years might be what it does get, just because you can spread the money out. You can front load the deal as well. So, let's say he plays this season, plays next season, but it's obvious that he starts declining. And if the Steelers would want to just be like, hey, man, we're going to move you to a team that can try to get you a ring, but we need to free up some cap space and cut ties, then they can do that without eating too much money. So a lot of things to pay attention to when it comes to the deal itself. But again, Alan Saunders and Steelers now reporting that the Steelers and Cam Heyward are indeed in talks for a potential contract extension. And again, if you like all the Steelers content, if you like all the NFL content, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Black and Gold Breakdown every Monday through Friday throughout the rest of the offseason around 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. This is just, somewhat of a breaking news stream just because this wasn't something that was expected necessarily with Cam Heyward potentially getting extended. So hopped on to talk about it real quick, but make sure you're like and subscribe for the Steelers content, for the NFL content as well. Listen to the Pump Fake wherever you get your podcasts. But Cam Heyward and the Steelers in contract extension talks, and we'll see where it leads. So appreciate y'all for hopping on. You can go back and watch yesterday's show where we talk about rookie minicamp, as well as the mock schedule. So I did a separate video for the mock schedule in terms of we streamed it live, but then I clipped it and made it just its own video. So you can watch both of those on the channel right now. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. See you Monday for Black and Gold Breakdown.